Have you ever stopped to consider the sheer volume of activity that unfolds in a single minute? 60 seconds, a seemingly insignificant blip on the radar of time. Yet within that minute, a hidden world awakens. Millions of conversations spark to life, decisions are made, connections are forged, and habits are reinforced. We rush through our days, seldom pausing to acknowledge the intricate dance of events that shape our every moment. The clock ticks onward, a relentless metronome marking the passage of time. We glance at its face, seeking a sense of order amidst the chaos. But what we fail to realize is that the clock's steady rhythm belies the true complexity of life unfolding around us. Beneath the surface of our ordinary routines lies a world teeming with hidden patterns, subtle cues, and unconscious influences. These invisible forces shape our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors in ways we rarely perceive. They guide our choices, mold our interactions, and ultimately determine the course of our lives. This essay is an invitation to explore this unseen world. It's a journey into the heart of the everyday, where we'll uncover the surprising and often counterintuitive forces that shape our daily experiences. Our brains are wired to focus on the salient and the novel. We're drawn to the bright, the loud, and the unexpected. This survival mechanism, honed over millennia, has served us well, enabling us to navigate a world fraught with danger. Yet, in our modern age, this same mechanism often blinds us to the subtle but pervasive forces that quietly orchestrate our lives. Like a magician who misdirects our attention, our brains filter out the mundane and the repetitive, relegating them to the realm of the unseen. We become oblivious to the familiar patterns of our daily commute, the unspoken rules of social etiquette, and the subtle cues that influence our purchasing decisions. But just because we're not consciously aware of these forces doesn't mean they cease to exist. In fact, these hidden influences are constantly at work, shaping our perceptions, guiding our actions, and ultimately defining our reality. Consider the simple act of walking down a crowded street. We navigate this complex social space with remarkable ease, effortlessly weaving through throngs of people, anticipating their movements and avoiding collisions. This seemingly effortless act is, in reality, a marvel of human cognition, a testament to our brain's ability to process vast amounts of information unconsciously. We're constantly picking up on subtle cues, body language, facial expressions, walking speed, and adjusting our behavior accordingly, all without conscious thought. We like to think of ourselves as rational beings, carefully weighing our options and making conscious, deliberate choices. But the truth is, a significant portion of our daily behavior is driven by forces outside of our conscious awareness. Our brains are masters of efficiency, constantly seeking ways to automate routine tasks and conserve precious cognitive resources. This automation is essential for our survival, allowing us to navigate the complexities of daily life without becoming overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information we encounter. However, this efficiency comes at a cost, a diminished sense of agency and control over our own actions. We become, in a sense, passengers in our own lives, our behaviors guided by the invisible hand of habit, social conditioning, and environmental cues. Consider the last time you drove home from work. Did you consciously think about every turn, every acceleration, every brake? Or did you find yourself arriving at your destination with little recollection of the journey itself? This phenomenon, known as highway hypnosis, illustrates the power of our unconscious mind to take over even complex tasks, freeing up our conscious awareness for other matters. While this automation can be incredibly useful, it also highlights the extent to which our actions are often driven by forces beyond our immediate control. Imagine yourself back on that crowded city street. People stream past you, a chaotic yet strangely ordered flow of humanity. At first glance, it might seem like there's no rhyme or reason to their movements. Yet, beneath the surface lies an intricate choreography, a set of unspoken rules that govern our behavior in public spaces. We instinctively adhere to these unwritten codes, maintaining a respectful distance from strangers, forming orderly queues, and yielding to oncoming foot traffic. These subtle social norms, often acquired through observation and imitation, act as a kind of social glue, ensuring the smooth functioning of public life. Watch closely, and you'll notice the subtle ways in which people negotiate personal space. Observe how conversations ebb and flow, how eye contact is established and broken, how individuals position themselves within a group. These nonverbal cues, often conveyed unconsciously, speak volumes about our social dynamics, revealing hierarchies, alliances, and unspoken understandings. Pay attention to the tempo and rhythm of movement in different environments. The bustling energy of a train station during rush hour stands in stark contrast to the leisurely pace of a Sunday stroll through the park. These variations in pace reflect not only the function of the space, but also the underlying social norms that dictate appropriate behavior. The coffee shop conundrum. Unveiling the silent language of consumption. Step inside your local coffee shop. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingles with conversations and the clatter of cups. Beneath the surface, a subtle dance of consumption reveals our social identities. Consider the choice of beverage. A latte signals comfort, while a cold brew shows trendiness. Our public personas are shaped by these details. Notice how people choose their seating. Some seek connection, others value privacy. Environmental factors shape our experiences. Section 3. The echo chamber effect. How our surroundings shape our perceptions. Our physical surroundings exert a powerful influence on our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, often without us even realizing it. The colors we're exposed to, the sounds we hear, the textures we feel. All these sensory inputs shape our moods, influence our cognitive processes, and even affect our physical well-being. Consider the impact of color. Exposure to blue hues has been shown to promote calmness and relaxation, while red can evoke feelings of excitement and alertness. Retailers understand this principle well, strategically using color to influence consumer behavior, from the soothing tones of spa waiting rooms to the vibrant hues of fast food restaurants. The soundscape of our environment also plays a significant role in shaping our experiences. The gentle lapping of waves on a beach can induce a sense of tranquility, while the cacophony of city noise can increase stress levels and impair cognitive function. Music, too, has a profound impact on our emotions and behavior, influencing our purchasing decisions, our workout routines, and even our perceptions of time. The design of our built environments also exerts a subtle but pervasive influence on our behavior. Architects and urban planners are increasingly recognizing the power of design to promote social interaction, encourage physical activity, and enhance well-being. From the layout of streets to the placement of benches, these design elements can subtly nudge us towards healthier and more sustainable lifestyles. Section 4. The power of social proof. Conformity and the allure of the crowd. Humans are social animals, hardwired to seek connection and belonging. This fundamental need for social approval exerts a powerful influence on our behavior, often leading us to conform to the norms of the group, even when those norms conflict with our own personal beliefs or values. This tendency towards conformity is rooted in our evolutionary past. In our ancestral environment, aligning ourselves with the group increased our chances of survival. Those who deviated from the norm risked social ostracism, which could have meant the difference between life and death. Today, this instinct for conformity continues to shape our behavior in countless ways. We're more likely to adopt a belief or behavior if we see others around us doing the same, even if we have no logical reason for doing so. This phenomenon, known as social proof, is the driving force behind fashion trends, viral marketing campaigns, and even the spread of misinformation. Consider the last time you were in an unfamiliar situation. Perhaps you were at a restaurant trying to decide what to order. Did you find yourself glancing at the tables around you, observing the choices of others? This subconscious information gathering is a prime example of social proof in action. We look to others for cues on how to behave, especially in ambiguous or uncertain situations. Section 5. Fashion Trends and the Illusion of Choice. Decoding the Language of Clothing. Fashion is often dismissed as a frivolous pursuit, yet beneath the surface of trends and styles lies a complex language of self-expression, social signaling, and cultural identity. Our clothing choices speak volumes about who we are, who we aspire to be, and where we fit within the social hierarchy. We use clothing to convey a wide range of messages, from our socioeconomic status to our political affiliations. A tailored suit can project an image of power and authority, while ripped jeans and a band t-shirt might signal rebellion and nonconformity. The rise of fast fashion and the constant bombardment of new trends have created an illusion of choice. We're led to believe that our individual style is a reflection of our unique personalities. Yet in reality, our choices are often heavily influenced by social pressures, marketing campaigns, and the desire to fit in. The language of fashion is constantly evolving, reflecting shifts in cultural norms, technological advancements, and social movements. What's considered fashionable today might be deemed outdated tomorrow, a testament to the ephemeral nature of trends and the constant pursuit of novelty. Section 1. The Subtle Art of Persuasion. Unmasking the Techniques of Influence. Every day, we're bombarded with messages designed to influence our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. From advertising campaigns to political speeches to everyday conversations, we're constantly being persuaded, often without even realizing it. Understanding the subtle techniques of influence can empower us to become more discerning consumers of information and more effective communicators ourselves. One of the most powerful tools of persuasion is the principle of reciprocity. When someone does us a favor, we feel obligated to return the gesture. This innate desire to maintain social balance is often exploited by marketers and salespeople who offer free samples, discounts, or other incentives to encourage us to make a purchase. Another effective technique is the use of scarcity. We tend to place a higher value on things that are perceived as being rare or in limited supply. This is why retailers often use phrases like limited time offer or while supplies last to create a sense of urgency and encourage impulse buys. The power of authority is another key principle of persuasion. We're more likely to be persuaded by someone we perceive as being an expert or authority figure. This is why advertisers often use celebrity endorsements or testimonials from professionals to lend credibility to their products. Section 2. The Halo Effect: How First Impressions Shape Our Judgments. We live in a world of snap judgments. Within milliseconds of meeting someone for the first time, our brains have already formed an impression based on their appearance, body language, and other superficial cues. This initial impression, known as the halo effect, can have a lasting impact on how we perceive and interact with that person in the future. The halo effect is a cognitive bias that leads us to generalize from one positive trait to another. For example, if we find someone physically attractive, we're more likely to assume that they're also intelligent, trustworthy, and competent. Conversely, negative first impressions can lead to a reverse halo effect, where we attribute negative qualities to someone based on a single negative trait. The halo effect is particularly powerful in social situations. We're more likely to be drawn to people who make a good first impression, and we're more likely to forgive their mistakes or overlook their flaws. This is why it's so important to be mindful of the impression we're making on others, especially in professional settings. While first impressions are undoubtedly important, it's essential to remember that they're not always accurate. Our initial judgments are often based on superficial cues and may not reflect the person's true character or abilities. It's important to be open to revising our opinions as we get to know someone better. Section 3. The Power of Nonverbal Communication. Reading between the lines of conversation. Words are just one aspect of communication. In fact, a significant portion of our communication takes place non-verbally, through our body language, facial expressions, tone of voice, and even our use of personal space. These non-verbal cues often convey more meaning than our words, revealing our true feelings, intentions, and attitudes. Pay attention to posture. Someone who is feeling confident and assertive will typically stand tall with their shoulders back and their head held high. Conversely, someone who is feeling insecure or anxious may slouch, cross their arms, or fidget. Eye contact is another powerful nonverbal cue. Maintaining eye contact during a conversation conveys interest, engagement, and trustworthiness. However, prolonged eye contact can be perceived as aggressive or confrontational, while avoiding eye contact can signal disinterest, dishonesty, or insecurity. Our facial expressions are also highly communicative. Even subtle movements of our facial muscles can convey a wide range of emotions, from happiness and surprise to sadness, anger, and disgust. These expressions are often involuntary, providing a glimpse into our true feelings, even when we're trying to conceal them. Section 4. Mirroring and Rapport, the unconscious dance of connection. Have you ever noticed how, during a conversation, you might unconsciously mimic the posture, gestures, or even the breathing patterns of the person you're talking to? This phenomenon, known as mirroring, is a subconscious way of building rapport and establishing connection. Mirroring is a natural human behavior that begins in infancy. Babies instinctively mimic the facial expressions of their caregivers, a crucial step in developing social bonds and learning to communicate. As we grow older, this mirroring behavior becomes more subtle, but it continues to play an important role in our social interactions. When we mirror someone's behavior, we're essentially sending a nonverbal message that we're on the same wavelength, that we understand and relate to them. This can create a sense of trust and connection, making the other person feel more comfortable and open to our message. Mirroring can also be used strategically to build rapport and influence others. By subtly mimicking the other person's body language, tone of voice, and even their use of language, we can create an instant connection and increase our chances of getting our message across. Section 5. The language of laughter. Humor as a social lubricant. Laughter is a universal language, one that transcends cultural boundaries and social barriers. It's a powerful tool for building relationships, diffusing tension, and coping with stress. But beyond its obvious benefits, laughter also plays a subtle yet significant role in shaping our social interactions. Shared laughter creates a sense of connection and belonging. When we laugh with someone, we're essentially signaling that we're on the same team, that we share a similar sense of humor and worldview. This can strengthen social bonds and foster a sense of camaraderie. Humor can also be used to navigate awkward or uncomfortable situations. A well-timed joke can break the ice, lighten the mood, and make everyone feel more at ease. It can also serve as a way of addressing sensitive topics without causing offense or creating conflict. However, it's important to note that humor is subjective and context-dependent. What one person finds funny, another may find offensive or inappropriate. It's crucial to be mindful of our audience and use humor judiciously, especially in professional or cross-cultural settings. Section 6. The Science of Storytelling. How narratives shape our perceptions. Stories are fundamental to the human experience. From the myths and legends of ancient cultures to the personal anecdotes we share with friends and family, stories help us make sense of the world, connect with others, and transmit knowledge across generations. But beyond their entertainment value, stories also have a profound impact on how we perceive and interact with the world around us. Our brains are wired for narrative. We're constantly searching for patterns and meaning in the information we encounter, and stories provide us with a framework for organizing and interpreting that information. When we hear a story, our brains don't just passively receive information. They actively construct meaning, making connections, drawing inferences, and filling in gaps. Stories have the power to evoke strong emotions and create lasting memories. When we're emotionally engaged with a story, we're more likely to remember the information it conveys and to be influenced by its message. This is why storytelling is such an effective tool for persuasion, education, and even therapy. From the news we consume to the products we buy to the relationships we form, our lives are shaped by stories. By understanding the science of storytelling, we can become more critical consumers of information and more effective communicators ourselves. Section 1. The Autopilot Within. Deciphering the language of our subconscious. Our conscious mind, the voice in our head that narrates our thoughts and experiences, often feels like the captain of our mental ship, steering us through the complexities of daily life. But beneath the surface of our conscious awareness lies a vast and powerful subconscious, a hidden realm of thoughts, emotions, and impulses that exert a profound influence on our decisions and behaviors. This subconscious mind, honed over millennia of evolutionary adaptation, is a master of efficiency, constantly processing information, making associations, and guiding our actions without requiring our conscious attention. It's the force behind our gut feelings, our intuitions, and our seemingly irrational impulses. While this subconscious processing is essential for navigating the complexities of daily life, it can also lead us astray, particularly when it comes to making decisions. Our subconscious minds are prone to biases, shortcuts, and emotional reasoning that can cloud our judgment and lead us to make choices that are not in our best interests. Understanding the language of our subconscious, recognizing its biases, and learning to question our gut feelings can empower us to make more conscious, deliberate decisions that are aligned with our values and goals. Section 2. The Anchoring Bias. How first impressions distort our judgments. Imagine you're shopping for a new car. You walk into the dealership and the salesperson shows you a car with a ridiculously high sticker price. You laugh it off, knowing you'll never pay that much. But that initial high price has already anchored itself in your mind, influencing your perception of subsequent offers, even if those offers are still above market value. This is the anchoring bias in action, a cognitive bias that causes us to rely too heavily on the first piece of information we receive, even if that information is irrelevant or misleading. This initial anchor sets a reference point that skews our subsequent judgments, making it difficult to objectively evaluate information and make rational decisions. This bias can influence our decisions in a wide range of contexts, from negotiating salaries to evaluating investment opportunities to forming opinions about other people. We're particularly susceptible to anchoring when we're uncertain or dealing with unfamiliar information. To mitigate the influence of anchoring, it's crucial to be aware of its existence and to actively seek out multiple sources of information before making a decision. Don't let the first piece of information you encounter dictate your perception of value or influence your ultimate choice. Section 3. The Framing Effect. The power of words to shape our choices. Imagine you're a doctor presenting a patient with two treatment options for a serious illness. Option A has a 90% survival rate, while option B has a 10% mortality rate. While both options convey the same statistical probability of survival, the way they're framed, emphasizing survival versus mortality, can significantly influence the patient's decision. This is the framing effect in action, a cognitive bias that demonstrates how the way information is presented or framed can dramatically alter our perceptions and influence our choices, even if the underlying options are objectively the same. We're more likely to choose an option that's framed in terms of gains, survival, rather than losses, mortality, even if the probabilities are identical. This bias highlights the power of language to shape our perceptions and influence our decisions. Marketers, politicians, and even our own internal dialogues use framing to nudge us towards specific choices. Being aware of framing effects allows us to recognize when our choices are being manipulated and to reframe information in a more objective light. When faced with a decision, challenge the way information is presented. Consider alternative perspectives, reframe the problem, and focus on the underlying facts rather than the emotional framing to make more informed decisions. Section 4. Loss aversion. Why we fear losing more than we love winning. Imagine you're offered a gamble, a 50% chance of winning $100 and a 50% chance of losing $50. Would you take the bet? For many people, the potential pain of losing $50 outweighs the potential pleasure of winning $100, even though the expected value of the bet is positive. This illustrates loss aversion, a cognitive bias that reveals our tendency to feel the pain of a loss more strongly than the pleasure of an equivalent gain. We're hardwired to avoid losses, often clinging to what we have rather than risking it for something better, even if the odds are in our favor. This bias can lead to irrational decision-making, such as holding on to losing investments for too long, staying in unfulfilling relationships, or avoiding necessary changes out of fear of potential downsides. We become so fixated on avoiding losses that we miss out on opportunities for growth and progress. Recognizing loss aversion in ourselves and others can help us make more rational choices. When facing a decision, try to reframe the problem in terms of potential gains rather than potential losses. Focus on the long-term implications of your choices and don't let the fear of short-term setbacks prevent you from pursuing your goals. Section 5. The confirmation bias, seeking evidence to support our existing beliefs. Imagine you're scrolling through social media and you come across an article that confirms your existing political views. You're more likely to share that article, even if it's from a questionable source, than an article that challenges your beliefs, even if it's well-researched and unbiased. This is the confirmation bias at work, a pervasive cognitive bias that describes our tendency to favor information that confirms our existing beliefs and to dismiss or downplay information that contradicts them. We selectively seek out evidence that supports our pre-existing views, reinforcing our existing biases and making it difficult to change our minds, even in the face of overwhelming counter-evidence. This bias can have a profound impact on our perceptions, our relationships, and our decision-making. It can lead to political polarization, interpersonal conflict, and an unwillingness to consider alternative perspectives. To combat confirmation bias, it's crucial to actively seek out diverse perspectives, challenge our own assumptions, and be open to the possibility that we might be wrong. Cultivating intellectual humility, the willingness to admit when we don't know something and to change our minds when presented with new evidence, is essential for personal growth and making sound decisions. Imagine you're about to board a plane, and you suddenly remember a news report about a recent plane crash. Even though statistically, flying is safer than driving, the vivid memory of the crash might make you overestimate the risk of flying and choose to drive instead, even if it's a longer and potentially more dangerous journey. This illustrates the availability heuristic, a mental shortcut that leads us to overestimate the likelihood of events that are easily recalled or vividly imagined, regardless of their actual probability. We tend to base our judgments on the information that's most readily available to us, which is often influenced by emotional salience, media exposure, and personal experiences, rather than statistical likelihood. This bias can lead to irrational fears, poor risk assessments, and skewed perceptions of the world. We might avoid certain activities, places, or people based on a single vivid memory or anecdote, while downplaying the risks of more statistically likely dangers. To mitigate the availability heuristic, it's important to be aware of its influence and to ground our decisions in data and statistical probabilities rather than anecdotal evidence or emotional reactions. Seeking out objective information, consulting with experts, and challenging our own assumptions can help us make more informed decisions. Imagine you've invested a significant amount of time and money into a project that's clearly not working out. You're faced with a choice: cut your losses and move on, or keep investing in the hope of salvaging something from your initial investment. Many people fall prey to the sunk cost fallacy, choosing to continue investing in a failing endeavor simply because they've already invested so much, even if it's logically the wrong decision. This fallacy arises from our reluctance to admit defeat and our desire to justify past decisions. We become emotionally attached to our investments, whether they're financial, emotional, or temporal, and we're hesitant to abandon them, even when it's clear that doing so would be in our best interests. The sunk cost fallacy can manifest in various aspects of our lives, leading us to stay in unfulfilling jobs, relationships, or projects simply because we've already invested so much. Overcoming this fallacy requires recognizing that past investments are irrelevant to the current decision. Focus on the future costs and benefits of your choices, and don't let the weight of past decisions dictate your future actions. Imagine you're standing in the cereal aisle at the grocery store, overwhelmed by the sheer number of options. While having choices is generally considered a good thing, an abundance of options can lead to decision paralysis, anxiety, and ultimately less satisfaction with our choices. This is the paradox of choice, a phenomenon where an increase in options, while seemingly empowering, can actually lead to decreased well-being. When faced with too many choices, we become overwhelmed by the decision-making process, second-guessing ourselves, worrying about making the wrong choice, and experiencing buyer's remorse. This paradox highlights the importance of setting limits on our choices, simplifying decision-making processes, and focusing on what truly matters. Rather than striving for endless options, we can increase our satisfaction by identifying our core values, setting clear goals, and making deliberate choices that align with our priorities. When faced with an overwhelming number of options, consider setting constraints, seeking recommendations, or using decision-making frameworks to narrow down your choices. Remember, more options don't necessarily lead to better outcomes. Section 9. Mastering our minds, cultivating awareness and making conscious decisions. Our minds are complex and often contradictory, influenced by a myriad of conscious and subconscious factors that shape our perceptions, emotions, and behaviors. Understanding these hidden influences, recognizing our own biases, and developing strategies to mitigate their impact is essential for navigating the complexities of daily life and making choices that are aligned with our values and goals. Cultivating self-awareness is the first step towards mastering our minds. Pay attention to your thought patterns, emotional reactions, and behavioral tendencies. Notice when you're making snap judgments, jumping to conclusions, or letting emotions cloud your judgment. Challenge your assumptions, and be open to alternative perspectives. Seek out diverse sources of information. Engage in respectful dialogue with people who hold different views, and be willing to admit when you're wrong. Practice mindfulness, the art of paying attention to the present moment without judgment. Engage in activities that promote self-reflection, such as meditation, journaling, or spending time in nature. Remember, mastering our minds is an ongoing journey, not a destination. By cultivating awareness, challenging our biases, and practicing mindfulness, we can make more conscious, deliberate choices that lead to greater fulfillment, stronger relationships, and a more meaningful life. How routine shapes our lives. Our lives are built on habits, shaping our days from morning to night. These actions form the invisible scaffolding of our lives. Think about your morning routine. Do you reach for your phone or start with mindfulness? These choices influence our mood and focus. Habits free up cognitive resources for complex tasks. They provide structure in a chaotic world, but unhelpful habits can undermine our goals. Cultivating positive habits is essential for a fulfilling life. Harness the power of habits to create positive change. Section 2, the cue routine reward loop. Decoding the mechanics of habit formation. Habits, whether beneficial or detrimental, are formed through a simple yet powerful three-part loop: cue, routine, and reward. This loop, repeated countless times, becomes ingrained in our neural circuitry, turning conscious actions into automatic behaviors. The cue is the trigger that initiates the habit loop. It can be an external stimulus, like the sight of your phone buzzing with a notification, the smell of freshly brewed coffee, or the sound of your alarm clock. Cues can also be internal, such as a feeling of boredom, stress, or loneliness. The routine is the actual behavior that follows the cue. It can be a physical action like reaching for your phone, pouring a cup of coffee, or hitting the snooze button. Routines can also be mental, like checking social media, ruminating on worries, or indulging in negative self-talk. The reward is the positive reinforcement that strengthens the habit loop. It's the feeling of satisfaction, pleasure, or relief that we experience after performing the routine. Rewards can be tangible, like the dopamine hit from social media likes, the caffeine boost from coffee, or the temporary comfort of staying in bed. They can also be intangible, like the feeling of accomplishment from completing a task, the sense of connection from interacting with others, or the relief from avoiding something unpleasant. Section 3. The power of context. How environment shapes our actions. Our environment plays a powerful role in shaping our habits, often without us even realizing it. Our physical spaces we inhabit, the social groups we belong to, and even the digital landscapes we navigate all contain subtle cues that trigger habitual behaviors. Consider the impact of your workplace. Is your desk cluttered with distractions, tempting you to procrastinate? Or is it a minimalist haven of focus, promoting productivity and deep work? The arrangement of furniture, the availability of healthy snacks, and even the lighting can influence our energy levels, focus, and food choices throughout the workday. Our social circles also exert a powerful influence on our habits. If our friends and family prioritize healthy eating and regular exercise, we're more likely to adopt similar habits. Conversely, if our social group indulges in unhealthy behaviors, we may find ourselves conforming to those norms, even if they conflict with our goals. Even the digital environments we inhabit shape our habits. Social media platforms, with their endless scrolls and addictive algorithms, are designed to keep us engaged for as long as possible, often at the expense of our productivity, sleep, and well-being. The notifications, alerts, and personalized recommendations constantly vying for our attention can make it challenging to disengage and focus on what truly matters. The domino effect. How small changes can trigger big transformations. Breaking free from ingrained habits can feel daunting, like moving a mountain one pebble at a time. But a single domino can set off a chain reaction, leading to significant transformations. This is the keystone habit principle. Changing one key habit can create a cascade of positive changes. For example, regular exercise can boost energy, mood, and self-discipline, improving overall well-being. Identify keystone habits that align with your core values and long-term goals. Focus on these habits to create a ripple effect of positive change. Section 5. The plateau of automaticity, when habits become second nature. As we repeat a behavior over and over again, it becomes increasingly automatic, requiring less conscious effort and mental energy. This process, known as automaticity, is what allows us to perform complex tasks, like driving a car or playing a musical instrument, without having to consciously think about every step. Habits, once ingrained, operate on this level of automaticity, freeing up our cognitive resources for other tasks. We no longer have to consciously decide to brush our teeth, tie our shoes, or drive to work. These actions have become ingrained in our neural circuitry, executed effortlessly without conscious thought. While automaticity is essential for efficiency, it can also be a double-edged sword. When positive habits become automatic, they can lead to effortless progress and improvement in our lives. However, when negative habits take hold, they can be challenging to break, operating on autopilot, undermining our goals and hindering our potential. The key is to be mindful of the habits we're forming and to consciously cultivate those that support our desired outcomes. By paying attention to our behaviors, identifying our triggers, and designing our environment to support positive routines, we can harness the power of automaticity to our advantage. Breaking free from the grip of ingrained bad habits can feel like an uphill battle, but it's not an impossible feat. By understanding the cue routine reward loop that drives habit formation, we can develop strategies to disrupt the cycle and replace unhealthy behaviors with positive ones. The first step is to identify the cues that trigger the unwanted habit. Keep a habit journal for a week or two, noting down the time, location, emotional state, and any other relevant factors associated with each instance of the behavior. This self-awareness will help you pinpoint the triggers you need to avoid or modify. Once you've identified your triggers, experiment with different strategies for disrupting the routine. If you're trying to reduce your social media use, try deleting the apps from your phone, using website blockers, or setting designated times for scrolling. If you're trying to eat healthier, try removing unhealthy snacks from your home, packing your own lunch, or finding healthier alternatives to your go-to comfort foods. Replacing the reward associated with the bad habit with a healthier alternative can also be effective. If you're trying to quit smoking, reward yourself with a healthy activity, like going for a walk or spending time with loved ones, instead of reaching for a cigarette. Our environment plays a powerful role in shaping our habits, often without us even realizing it. By consciously designing our surroundings to support our desired behaviors, we can make it easier to form positive habits and break free from negative ones. Start by making small changes to your physical environment. If you're trying to eat healthier, place a bowl of fruit on the counter, keep healthy snacks in your bag or car, or rearrange your pantry to make healthy options more visible and accessible. If you're trying to exercise more, lay out your workout clothes the night before. Keep your gym bag by the door, or find a workout buddy to keep you accountable. Pay attention to your social environment as well. Surround yourself with people who support your goals and who model the behaviors you aspire to adopt. Join a running club, find a workout buddy, or seek out online communities dedicated to healthy living. Even the digital environments we inhabit can be redesigned to support our goals. Use app blockers to limit your time on distracting websites and apps. Unsubscribe from tempting email lists, and curate your social media feeds to follow accounts that inspire and motivate you. Forming new habits takes time and effort. Our brains don't rewire themselves overnight. The key is consistency and repetition. Just as a muscle grows stronger with repeated use, neural pathways associated with new behaviors become more established and efficient with practice. Don't get discouraged if you slip up or experience setbacks. Habit formation is not a linear process. There will be days when you fall back into old patterns. The important thing is to acknowledge the setback, learn from it, and get back on track as soon as possible. Celebrate your successes, no matter how small they may seem. Each time you choose a healthy habit over an unhealthy one, you're reinforcing that positive pathway in your brain, making it more likely that you'll repeat that behavior in the future. Remember, forming new habits is a marathon, not a sprint. Be patient with yourself, focus on progress over perfection, and celebrate the small victories along the way. Section 9. From autopilot to agency, reclaiming control through conscious habit formation. Our habits, once formed, can feel like an invisible force shaping our lives, often leading us down paths we hadn't consciously chosen. But by understanding the mechanics of habit formation, we can reclaim our agency, breaking free from the grip of autopilot and consciously designing a life that aligns with our values and aspirations. Habit formation is not about restriction or deprivation. It's about empowerment and liberation. By consciously choosing the behaviors that support our well-being, we free ourselves from the tyranny of impulsive decisions, reactive emotions, and self-sabotaging patterns. Start by reflecting on your current habits. Which ones are serving you well? Which ones are holding you back? Identify the key areas of your life where you'd like to make changes, and focus on establishing one or two new habits at a time. Remember, you are the architect of your habits, and your habits are the building blocks of your life. By consciously choosing the behaviors that support your growth, well-being, and fulfillment, you can design a life that is not merely lived, but truly created. Section 1. The unseen order. Recognizing the patterns that shape our lives. As we've journeyed through the hidden dimensions of everyday life, we've uncovered a world of intricate patterns, subtle cues, and unconscious influences that shape our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors in ways we rarely perceive. From the choreography of public spaces to the language of our subconscious minds, we've begun to see the invisible forces that orchestrate our daily experiences. We've explored the power of habit, those ingrained routines that can either propel us towards our goals or hold us captive to self-sabotaging patterns. We've delved into the psychology of decision-making, uncovering the biases and heuristics that often lead us astray, even when we believe we're acting rationally. And we've witnessed the profound influence of our social and physical environments, shaping our choices, shaping our perceptions, and ultimately shaping the very fabric of our lives. This journey has been an exercise in mindfulness, a call to awaken to the often overlooked details that make up the tapestry of our existence. It's an invitation to step outside the confines of our routine thoughts and behaviors, to challenge our assumptions, and to embrace a more nuanced understanding of the forces that shape our experiences. Unveiling the forces behind the seemingly arbitrary. In a world often perceived as chaotic, it's tempting to attribute much to chance or randomness. Our successes and failures seem like luck, driven by free will, unfolding by an unknowable plan. Yet much of what appears random is the result of complex interplay between our biology, environment, and choices. Our genes, upbringing, and habits shape our lives. Free will exists, but our choices are influenced by many factors. Understanding these influences helps us make deliberate choices aligned with our values. Section 3. The Power of Awareness. Transforming the mundane into the extraordinary. Awareness is the first step towards transformation. By paying attention to our thoughts and behaviors, we create space for greater choice. Awareness helps us identify and replace habits that no longer serve us. We can develop healthier coping mechanisms and emotional resilience. Paying attention to our environment allows for more conscious choices. It's about bringing a mindful presence to the everyday. The mundane becomes extraordinary through awareness. Section 4. The interplay of choice and circumstance. Navigating the complex terrain of daily life. Our lives are not solely determined by our genes, our upbringing, or even our conscious choices. We exist within a complex web of interconnectedness, influenced by a multitude of factors that are both within and beyond our control. This interplay of choice and circumstance can be both exhilarating and daunting, offering us both opportunities for growth and challenges to overcome. There will be times when we feel like we're at the mercy of external forces, buffeted by the winds of change and circumstances beyond our control. But even in these moments, we always have a choice: how we respond. We can choose to react with fear, anger, or resignation, or we can choose to approach these challenges with courage, resilience, and a willingness to learn and grow. The key is to find a balance between accepting what is beyond our control and taking responsibility for the choices that are within our power. We can't always choose our circumstances, but we can choose our attitude, our perspective, and our actions. This journey of navigating the complex terrain of daily life is an ongoing process of self-discovery. It's about learning to discern between what we can and cannot change, making peace with the past, and embracing the present moment with open arms and a compassionate heart. Section 5. The ripple effect of small changes. Embracing the transformative power of habit. Small changes in daily habits can transform our lives. Recognize the cue routine reward loop and use it to your advantage. Design your environment to replace unhealthy habits with positive ones. Focus on small changes like drinking water in the morning or taking a short walk during lunch. Progress, not perfection, is the goal. Celebrate every small step forward. Section 6. The ongoing journey of self-discovery. A lifelong exploration of the unseen. As we reach the end of our exploration into the hidden dimensions of everyday life, It's important to remember that this is not a destination but a starting point. The journey of self-discovery, of uncovering the unseen forces that shape our experiences, is a lifelong endeavor, one that requires ongoing curiosity, self-reflection, and a willingness to challenge our assumptions. The more we learn about ourselves, the more we realize how much we don't know. The human mind is a vast and complex landscape, full of hidden depths and unexplored territories. But this shouldn't discourage us. Rather, it should fill us with a sense of wonder and excitement about the possibilities for growth and transformation that lie ahead. Embrace the unknown, stay curious, and never stop asking questions. Challenge yourself to step outside your comfort zone, try new things, and connect with people from diverse backgrounds and perspectives. The more you explore, the more you'll discover about yourself, the world around you, and the interconnectedness of all things. This journey of self-discovery is not about achieving perfection or becoming someone you're not. It's about embracing the fullness of who you are, imperfections and all, and striving to live a more authentic, meaningful, and fulfilling life. Section 7. Embracing the wonder of the everyday, finding magic in the mundane. The true magic of life is not found in grand gestures or extraordinary events, but in the quiet moments, the ordinary routines, and the seemingly insignificant details that make up the tapestry of our daily existence. It's in the warmth of the sun on our skin, the laughter of loved ones, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee, and the simple pleasure of a good book. When we approach life with a sense of wonder and appreciation, even the most mundane activities can become infused with meaning and joy. We begin to see the beauty in the everyday, the extraordinary in the ordinary, and the interconnectedness of all things. So, as you go about your day, take a moment to pause, to breathe, and to appreciate the wonder that surrounds you. Notice the subtle beauty in the world around you, the kindness of strangers, the resilience of the human spirit, and the infinite possibilities that each new day brings. Life is a gift, and the greatest adventure of all is the journey of living it fully, presently, and with a grateful heart.